Welcome back to the Leapcast, guys. Welcome back to the Quantum Leaps Leapcast, where we are joined by super awesome John himself, who just leaped into the accelerator. And of
Hey,
course, I am
hey,
David Dimension, and we are the Leapcast. We are fans of Quantum Leap who discuss the latest and greatest in the world of Quantum Leap, past, present, and who knows, maybe the future. We'll see what happens. So let's check out and chat. Of course, we have the man, the myth, the mod multi-master himself, Rolando. We got Rolando
hey,
in the house.
Orlando,
We got Captain Spaulding,
Captain. How's it going?
the Lord of Horror himself, Captain Spaulding. Yes, I've given you a moniker now. Run with it. Let's see who else we got. We got Captain Spaulding say, "Hey, John. Stream Elements. You're streaming, and you are Elements. Yes, you are.
LeBron's here.
We got LeBron Fett.
How you doing?
How's everyone? Well, we're doing good. We got Sam Hain.
Sam Hain, how you doing? How you
Hain
doing?
is a friend of the channel and will be joining me this Friday as we do a live stream Ghostbusters discussion about the Ghostbusters HasLab and potential futures with that. And with that being said, guys, if you let me see, no, I don't have it here yet, do I? No, I gotta upload that. But yeah, join him, me, Sam Hain. We also have Nick Vitale of the Daytona Beach Ghostbusters is going to be joining us, and also Ghost Beacon, who is an awesome YouTuber himself. And you guys, if you're not familiar with Ghost Beacon and you're a Ghostbusters fan, you definitely want to check him out. There's his QR code right at the top of the screen. He's definitely one of the best around when it comes to Ghostbusters news and pop culture itself. So please check out Ghost Beacon. But yeah, let's catch up with the rest of the chat here. Rolando, of course, dropping links. Dropping LeBron Fett's link right there. Thank you very much. He's excited. There you go. We got Spaulding's link right there. Go ahead and check him out. Captain Spaulding is a
Man's
brand
here.
new up-and-comer YouTuber. So please check him out. He is the Lord of Horror. I said it. Rolando is the best. And, of course, we got the link for Duffman's Diorama. So this week's episode of Quantum Leap was a little different. We had a little bit more it felt like it was kind of trying to vibe back to the old days of the original Quantum Leap, where there was, there would be the periodic stories of persecution and judgmentalism. People kind of turning their nose at someone who is different, whether it was skin color, their mental capacities, people who maybe someone didn't have a leg, or people who are a different race. And I thought that I thought it was time. It felt good, but some of it didn't feel 100%. What's the word I'm looking for? It didn't feel 100% like a natural story. It kind of feels a little pushed. And I mean, this day and age with everything being woke, I get the subject material is definitely current, but I don't know. It felt, it is definitely something. And again, we're getting Ben leaping more closer to our time. Leaping what, 11 years ago to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the episode itself?
Oh, I thought it was great. It to me, it finally did something that 80s television did quite a bit when they were doing stuff like time travel and stuff, where they would go back and show a point in history that mattered and the people in it who helped change society for the better, you
Yeah.
know? And this was one of those kind of episodes where he leapt into somebody who helped,
Yeah.
change society for the better. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And highlight the experience of
Now, though, John,
what.
you okay? You froze there. There you go. You
Yeah,
froze in time.
yeah, I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, it's just I thought it was very yeah, because I didn't think they would tackle something this that has two opposing sides, because I would think that in this day and age, the amount of people who are going to now go on the internet and blast Quantum Leap and actually hate on it is just going to be overwhelming. So
I'm waiting for that to happen, and
yeah, and
I really cannot wait,
if it doesn't
because
happen, thank goodness, because
if it
I
doesn't
hope
happen,
everyone likes it, but
I think and that's, I'm playing devil's advocate here, John. Don't blast me. But if it doesn't happen, one, I'll be very surprised, and two, I almost feel like we need something like this, because there's still a lot of hate. There's still a lot of, you know, people who are single-minded, narrow-minded, and they just can't see. I mean, early in the show, early in the episode, the daughter, because I will refer to her as a daughter, because she's a girl. Okay, she's chosen to be that way. I've chosen to be a Ghostbuster. John, you chose to be a vintage collector. It's all the different paths in life that we've chosen, that it brings out the best in us. I like how it really was about her. She wasn't necessarily trying to lead by example. She wasn't trying. She just wanted to be, she just wanted to play basketball with her friends. She wanted to enjoy the high school life, and unfortunately, we get the ugly head of bigotry, even in 2012, which is where Ben leaped into. Even in 2012, we see that. I mean, I see it all every day. Unfortunately, I still see it all the time. We see it on Facebook. Excuse me. We see all these haters all the time, and even excuse me for one moment. Sorry about that. I mean, I'm waiting for someone on one of the Quantum Leap groups, or someone. I'm waiting for someone to say something, because I'm just waiting to clap back at them. I've known people who are trans, and they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me. I mean, just because someone's different, I mean, you shouldn't damn them. Like that mother, the stuck up mother, that Karen, she was ticking me off in that show. But I get that there are people like that they just can't see. They can only see their narrow mindedness. They can't see other point of views. I think
but at
that's what I
least
was
they
kind of
came
getting at.
around in the end. That's
Yeah,
what this was a good story about. I mean, people understood and came around in the end.
but something happened in this episode that we haven't seen since the original series. We saw time being altered instantaneously, back in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
past and in the present, because right when Addison comes back to the project, she's talking to Ian, and Ian's aware of because Ben leaped into the father, who's also the high school basketball coach, and Ian already knows who the daughter is, because he heard of her back then. And because she was put into the game, she was this shining example. She originally wasn't put into the game, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
we saw time being altered, and Ian, like, well, yeah, she was the role model. She really set things off for the trans community, and Ben was all. I mean, just by doing that, I mean, it was causing a ripple effect, and
Well,
that's
and
another
then
thing.
well, what was weird is then when they were talking about it, Ian went, "Hold on a second, I remember it both ways." Like when
Yep,
he sat there and thought about it, he remembered
yep,
the previous and now the new. So he
yep,
remembered both timelines. So that's what
and
kind of freaked him out. He's like,
yep.
"Oh crap, I'm being beat by my own system or
Yeah, my,
something,
my
right?"
my own technology is beating me. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. That I thought was awesome, that Ian was remembering both timelines, because and that also this is where the sci-fi comes out, guys. This is the big sci-fi. Okay, with something like this, that here's a time traveler nerd right here. Okay, guys, with something like this, you know what that means? That means that there is basically a temporal field, a temporal wake around the project, so that you can be. I'm sure everyone outside the project will not remember multiple timelines, but because they're there in the project, they're in that kind of a nexus. They're in a
Yeah.
wake, to borrow from Star Trek, a temporal wake.
Yeah.
And that's why they're able to see the differences and still retain the original history, and now the changed history.
Yep.
Because
And
I'm
it's
sure,
actually the first time they touched on that in the show,
yeah,
because we brought this up before.
yeah,
If they're changing history, does everybody know, or like how
because
is
I
that
mean,
working? And now
even
we see how
even
it
Sam,
works.
even Sam, he had when Sam was leaping through time, it was the Marty McFly approach. He remembers his original timeline. He didn't remember the altered timelines that he was creating when he changed people's lives, or let's say a big massive effect, like, okay, Lee Harvey Oswald. He did not remember that, in the original timeline, that they lost both Jackie and John F. Kennedy, and that by him leaping into that one bodyguard, they saved Jackie. So I mean, he didn't retain that, the original history. He's just going on his perception. So I mean, it's kind of the the Marty McFly effect, that, like, okay, I only remember my timeline. I'm not going to remember the timeline that I'm returning to, because it's a completely different timeline now. But I want to say, I think Al might have been able to, because I read in the books, the Quantum Leap novel, the paperbacks, which you can find at probably like antique shops, Goodwills, your lawn, your yard sales, possibly. In some of those books, Al actually he would retain different times, because he would, every time he would come back to the project after the imaging chamber, he would kind of remember, he would have to pick up on all the changes, because that was kind of like quantum leaping for him every time he came back to the project, because maybe Ziggy was a male this time, Ziggy, he was a female voice, or Gushy was with Tina and they were married, and there was different timelines all the time, so he kind of had to dance around with it. But yeah, it was pretty amazing that there's these parallels. And
Um,
Ian played a big part in this episode too, which me and John will talk about a little bit later.
yeah. Hi, Mr. B. Good to see you again. Mr. B was in the
Hey,
last
Mr.
stream
B.
I was on earlier. Um, yeah, I don't. Uh, so
E,
Ian is the. He said, "Who's Ian?" Ian is the um kind of like a programmer in charge of
Kind
the.
of like Gushy, but with
Yeah,
better breath in hair.
in charge of the programming and the running of, essentially the running of the project. He can start up the accelerator, get Addison in the chamber and control that and all that. So and he talks to Ziggy and figures out what, helps Addison figure out what the outcome is that they're going for. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So he's probably sending, like, if Addison's in the chamber, Ian is probably routing information
Now
from.
here we go. Ian is played by Mason Alexander Park. They play Ian Wright.
Yeah,
Okay. Also played in Sandman on
Sandman.
Netflix.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, Sandman.
A great actor, great talent. This is who plays Ian. Now, Ian plays a very pivotal. We get a lot more Ian later on in the episode too. But yeah,
Now in the show, which is pertinent to this particular episode, in the show, Ian is gender. He considers, well, he or she considers himself genderless, right?
yeah, I
But
guess you could,
yeah, them, right?
non-binary.
So is the actor the same way, or is the actor considered?
I believe the actor is the same way,
Okay,
because Mason has played a lot of characters that, I mean, like even Lucifer in
you
Sandman
you could
was
say
very
is,
much that way. So,
yeah.
but this episode we had now we touched a little bit about Ben leaped into a, and by the way, we had another first for this series of Quantum Leap. Now Ben leaps into a basketball coach, father, the father of a transgender child, and he's trying to do everything he can for his child. Give them every opportunity, although the mother secretly just wanted the daughter to be on the team but not actually play. She wanted to kind of play both sides of it, and that kind of backfires later. But at one point, we get Ben. Ben actually mentions himself. A friend of mine, Ben Song.
Yeah.
He was Korean, and he had a hard time. And we actually, I mean, when was the last time we? I mean, I think in the original Quantum Leap, I think Sam mentioned his by name. Another, there was the honeymoon episode where he's a detective. He's a New York cop who's on his honeymoon. The daughter of a senator. She was studying to be a lawyer. You know what I'm talking about. There's some people trying to kill her on the honeymoon train. He mentions, she's trying to be very playful with him, and she mentions, they're going to do role play, and he says, "Yeah, I'm a quantum physicist named Sam Beckett." But it was kind of like a nice little shout out in a way. I mean, obviously, no one's going to know who Ben's Song is. I mean, Ben was probably maybe 20 at the time, maybe even a teenager, maybe 18 or 17 in 2012, possibly.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. But I mean, I thought it was a pretty good episode for the most part. I still think the writing is still missing something when it comes to the leaps. The leap aspect or the leap storylines, I think part of it, I think a lot of it feels kind of generalized.
Yeah, I mean, I
some
see what
ways.
you're saying, because it's almost like the writers, they have a lot of stuff invested, and they're very much into telling this modern story about why Ben leapt and Addison being killed, and who's the one that told Ben about Addison's death and everything.
Yeah.
That part is definitely written better. Like, I almost like they spent more time writing and
Not
crafting
not
that part of
necessarily
the
Vagon.
story.
It
But
definitely helps. It helps Vagon, but you don't have to
yeah, you don't have to.
necessarily watch the show. I mean, we kind of do a recap of it, so you can kind of get the gist of it.
Whereas you're right,
Hey, Ricardo.
the leaps almost seem very straightforward. It's almost like it's following an outline that
Thank you, Dennis.
is straightforward, where the modern part of the show has a little bit more
Yeah,
crafting to it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That was a fun ending to that episode. The original Quantum Leap episode that I described just a few moments ago, where the daughter of a senator, but then Sam, right at the end, tells her that, oh, it would have been this answer. And she's like, oh, that would have cost me so many points. And then Sam leaps, and then flashback to the Senate Budget Committee, and the lead senator is now replaced by the woman, the daughter of the senator. She's now on the board. So yeah, I mean, that was a fun twist. And if you notice, only Al's the only person who realizes the change. No one else realizes the change. So that goes to show you that the observer, obviously being at the project, has some kind of residual energy or whatever, an aura that protects them against shifts in the timeline, I guess. But
Well,
yeah,
only for maybe a little while, because
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
it is
that energy has
interesting
to
that
fade at some point.
it is interesting that Ian remembered both timelines. Like,
Yeah.
and the first timeline he remembered was the new one. It took him a second with Addison talking to him, like, it's almost surprised, like, wow, you remember
Yep.
the new timeline, but not the old. And then it clicked, like, wait a minute, no, I actually can remember both. So,
Well,
like, if he
we're gonna come
wasn't,
back to Ian.
it's almost like if he wasn't prompted, he would have only mentioned the new timeline. You know what I mean?
I speaking of that, I kind of have a really crazy psychotic theory, and we're gonna bring that up a little bit later, guys. But hey, what's up? Hey,
Hey,
what's
how you
up,
doing?
Mayor?
Video treasure hunts. It's good to see you.
Ricardo, of course. Ricardo's doing some. I think he said he's doing some mail unboxing, so he's going to be in the background. Everyone's saying hello to everyone. But now we had okay, we had, obviously Addison and Ian at the project, but we also had Jen and Magic out on the town following some leads, a bar that Ben had apparently gone to a week, or I don't know, like what was it, a week or a couple months before he
Yeah,
leaps. So we go to this bar, which happens to have a bartender which happened to be transgender. Okay, and the trans bartender, I want to say the name was Dottie. Dottie says, "Well, I can't really talk. My bosses are sus. Suspicious. So,
yeah,
so Dottie says, well, come back tomorrow night during the poetry read. I'll talk to you then, because they kind of say, well, here's a picture of you talking to Ben Song, because Dottie says, I don't know Ben Song. Well, we have a photograph, and that's when Dottie kind of like says, come back tomorrow during the poetry read and we can talk. And of course, they do come back and there's a poetry read, but the poetry read is something that Quantum Leap fans are very familiar with because Dottie is borrowing lyrics of a song that Sam Beckett once sang when he leaped into a rock star in the 80s called Tonic. What was the name of the band though? I can't remember the name of the band. I'm blanking on it.
yeah.
But
I don't know because
the song was actually written by Mike Post, Ray Bunch, Chris Rupenthal, and Mike Randall Leggett, and was actually sang by Scott Bakula in the original series. Fates. It was basically Dottie is saying, like, you see my face, but it's not mine. What you can't see, you'll never know. How can we meet if I'm not there? It's borrowing different lyrics from the song Fate's Wide Wheel, which was kind of a reflection of Sam quantum leaping. Now, initially, when I'm hearing this, sorry guys, I'm losing my voice today. That's what happens when you work in a call center every day. 8 hours of talking. So I'm losing my mind when I'm hearing this, because I'm thinking like, okay, did someone leap into Dottie? Could that someone be Sam Beckett?
yeah, that's what
Could
immediately
could
what I
Sam
thought.
have
Yeah,
taken over Dottie's body to warn Ben? But we find out that that's not the case, guys. Don't worry, it's not Sam Beckett. And I
and
think
then
when Sam
they
comes,
panned over to Magic,
yeah,
I definitely
Magic
knew
is just
because
like
Magic, yeah, because
he
Magic
he,
put it
he
together
recognized
right
those
there.
words. Yeah,
Yeah,
he knew exactly what was going on. And later on, him and Dottie are talking. They're having a one-on-one conversation, and he's like, what if I told you that you were right about a government project?
yeah,
And Dottie's saying, well, I lost time. I don't remember anything that happens. And Magic says, well, I believe you, something similar happened to me. And it did. Of course, Sam leaped into him. He's, they're kind of like bonding a little bit. And Dottie says, well, there's an image in my head, an image I can't shake. So Dottie pulls out the sketchbook. Here I am. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be Sam,
me
but it's
too.
not. Guess who it was, guys?
Yeah,
Guess who it was, guys? It was Ian. Ian, at some point in time, will leap into Dottie, the bartender. As to what happens to Ian afterwards, no idea, guys, because Dottie reveals a sketchbook drawing of Ian's face with the round rim glasses that Ian wears, and Ian's hair, the flowing but short, blondish hair. And I'm like, whoa. So that means at some point in time, Ian is going to time travel, or maybe Ian has.
well, the hair was a little bit longer than Ian is
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Obviously
It
it's going to be
actually
in the
went to his
future, more of a kind of bob
shoulders.
and a little bit longer.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, when Sam leaped around, his hair grew and kind of got shaggy at times. But I mean, that's the thing though. At some point, Ian's gonna leap. But on which side of Quantum Leap is Ian gonna be on? Is he gonna be on the good side? Or I'm sorry, are they gonna be on the good side? Or are they gonna be, a baddie for some reason? And this is where I'm going with this, guys. And this is a little off topic, and please bear with me. I know I'm psychotic. Um, Anyone who's ever watched the CW show The Flash, the very first season, the first half of the season, there's a character named Dr. Wells, and he's guiding Barry Allen as Barry is learning how to become a speedster, how to be a hero using his powers. But he's really the reverse Flash, the ultimate arch nemesis of the Flash from the distant future. But he wants to use the Flash so the Flash can get faster, so he can use the Flash so he can go back to his time. What if we get something like this? Like, what if Ian is somehow stuck and he's playing possum, he's being a good guy, at least until he can find some way back to his time or back to wherever he's from. I'm just throwing that out, or wherever they are from. I know that's a crazy idea, but I just want to throw that out there as a crazy. I mean, we get plenty of crazy conspiracies. Because I honestly, I want to say, I mean, we don't know what the other project will be. You know,
Well, I
for
think
all
it's
we
the
know,
same project. Now that it's Ian, my feeling is it's the same project, and something happens in the future where Addison is killed, but because Ian was working for the project when Ben left, he knows that Ben has to leap in order to save Addison. So he goes. So in the future, Ian jumps in the accelerator to go back in time and tell.
yeah, to
The
to
only
give
thing
to
is,
give Ben some information, obviously.
yeah. So I don't think there's any bad about it at
Yeah.
all. I think it's
Okay.
all the same project, and it's for the good intention of saving. Because
I mean, but for
obviously, as they work together and go on, it
yeah,
appears that Addison and Ian are becoming closer and better friends.
yes.
So,
Well,
he's not going to want
well,
Addison
to
to die either. You know?
to borrow from Magic family. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
But I think as someone who writes in his spare time, story wise, that would be something that nobody would see coming. Though that would be a great flip and twist in the story. Is it likely? Probably not. But I just want to throw that out there, just on the off chance that it does happen. But I mean, to find out that Ian is going to leap at some point in time, and now Magic knows. Magic
yeah.
knows that, yeah, at some point in the future, we don't know when, but at some point in the future, and of all things, here's another thing. Why is it that Dottie drew Ian with glasses? Huh? That's a question to think about. Because when you leap, you're in whatever clothing that the person that you leaped into is wearing. Unless there's some kind of mental imprint that's left in the person that you leaped into, and that mental image is obviously Ian with glasses on. That, I mean, that's
Yeah,
the
that
only
is a
way you
little
can
weird. You're
explain that.
right. Yeah.
NBC, hire me, trust me on this, okay?
Did every picture have glasses though? I don't think every picture had glasses
Well, tell you what, I'm going
because there was like
to
6 or 7 pictures she drew in that book as they flipped
let's
through them.
go to the video footage.
I
I'm not
just
going to show it
the
though.
with the very first picture, I wasn't sure that it was actually Ian because
I was
the
almost
hair
thinking,
was so
because
long
the
and
hair, I was
different.
thinking Janice.
Yeah,
I was really thinking Janice, but Janice doesn't wear glasses, so
and then it went when they showed the other images. I was like,
yeah.
oh, it's definitely Ian.
But I'm going to pull up Quantum Leap actually, and I'm going to pull up and take a look at
But
those images very quickly.
But the other weird thing I want to ask you, Dave, because maybe I missed it, but why did Ben go to that bar?
Who knows? Maybe it was another breadcrumb left by Ian or some other leaper. You know?
Because and they did say that Ben definitely went in the bar. It's not like
Yeah, they
Dee Dee
show
left
Ben
the bar.
at the bar talking to Dottie.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like Dottie left the bar and went to
Yeah,
find uh, Ben. So did Dottie leave a message for Ben or something? Like I just don't see how Ben
yeah,
just happened to be in that bar at the moment when
yeah. I
when
mean, it has to be a breadcrumb. Someone has to lead Ben to there.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching it right now. I'm not going to share because copyrights and all. Um, so the first picture is glasses, and then there's different angles, and they all show the different angles all show different sides of Ian's head. So, yeah, every image of Ian shows the glasses. So there has to be it has to be. I'm thinking a mental imprint, but plus, let's catch up very quickly here, and then we'll keep going. Everyone's saying hello, everyone. Sharing links, sharing links. We like to see that because, guys, remember hashtag we all grow together. And that's, I'm referring to the channels. And by the way, speaking of the channels, guys, if you notice at the top of the screen, you can see a little barcode, or sorry, a little QR code that says Ride for Roswell. That is the charity that I am pretty much from now all the way through June. I'm going to be pushing the Ride for Roswell, which benefits Roswell Park cancer research. So if anyone in this stream or watching a replay wants to donate to the Ride for Roswell, just pull out your phone, open up your camera app, and scan that QR code, and it gives you a link that you can go directly to and donate to the Ride for Roswell, guys. So please, let's help make a difference. And if you are watching this on your phone, go into the description below, and you'll see a link where you can go directly to the Ride for Roswell and donate. And let's fight cancer, and let's get rid of cancer altogether. I'm sure, John, you're all behind that as well. But guys, I'm going to leave that up for the rest of the stream. So guys, please feel free to scan that, take a screen grab, and check it out later, or go to the video description below, guys.
Do you notice that it probably doesn't work because the little live orange square?
No, it doesn't show up on YouTube. It only shows up on us.
Oh, it only shows up for us?
It only shows up for us, yeah.
Okay.
I've tested it out.
Okay.
We got Linda. I'm sorry, Linda. I know you've been in the chat. Didn't acknowledge you. I apologize. I beg your forgiveness. Let's just catch up here. We got. I'm doing the Vern, like not even 5 seconds. I'm doing my Oakhurst Studios impersonation. Lurking. Bueller. No, thank you, LeBron. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got. Oh, geez. We're gonna skip ahead. I used a 2020p. Oh, must be talking about doing some. Speaking of which, guess who's in the chat? Is Ben really an immortal? Is that why he can travel so far in time? No, he's not an immortal. You can kill him any way possible. I guess if you want to take his head with a sword, you
gosh, you know what?
What?
Now I see why Ben can travel into what we think is the future. Because the program he's using, the program he's using is from Ian in the future. So Ian took the future program, and when he met Ben,
and gives it to Ben.
Yeah. So then Ben can use basically Ian's Ian or Ben's life
program, Ian's template from whatever point in time he's from, or they're from. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are we talking Thrones? Okay. Anyone who makes Thrones, like maybe for Star Wars figures, I'm just saying. I have a Boba Fett that could use a throne. Just saying.
That's an interesting idea.
So John, John coming out with the awesome theories. Like, what if as Dottie, but here's the question: did Dottie reveal that they were Ian to Ben, so Ben would trust that?
Yeah.
I mean, if not, Dottie would have to say something to Ben that Ben would take on faith and would trust it as gospel, right? So.
Well, in this episode, Ian jumped into Dottie.
Yeah, a bartender from the future. Ian from the future leaped into a bartender and supposedly met with Ben, and we're thinking that maybe that's where Ben gets this program that he used to leap that breaks all the rules of time travel.
Yeah, and Dottie told Ben that Ian in Dottie's body told Ben that Addison was going to die, and he had to leap to save her, and must have told Ben what year to target also, because that's how he did the spiral targeting thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, see, Ian must have told them a lot, because Ian told them the day and the time and the year that he had to target in his spiral plan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there had to be a lot more that Ian told them than just.
And if anything, I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, Ian is, like you said, Ian is the controller of the
Yeah,
project, basically. So
and a
now,
programmer there. He programmed a
now,
lot
see,
of the
at
stuff.
first we were thinking that Janice and Ben came up with the program.
Yeah, we were in the beginning, but
I mean, for all we know, Ian comes up with the actual program itself, but you know, Ben takes the program, brings it to Janice so she can kind of proof it because he doesn't necessarily trust anyone at the project. And maybe
oh,
the reason why he doesn't trust anyone at the project is because Ian, as Dottie, tells him about stuff in the future. And
don't
that's
trust
obviously,
anyone. Yeah,
but I was a little surprised we didn't get any Janice this episode.
I know. It's like she was totally gone. Yeah, she wasn't even in the project room, which I think they were trying to keep her there, weren't they?
You know,
Wasn't even.
the MPs took her out for a day spa, as a
Yeah,
little
an ice
reward,
cream.
and then brought her back to
You're
the
like,
project.
let's go get
She'll
ice
be back
cream.
next week, or
Yeah.
not next week, 2 weeks from now. Very cool. Everyone's talking about their crafts. Very awesome, guys. But yeah, I mean, the thing that I'm trying to wrap my mind around of is, okay, we know Ian leaps into Dottie at some point in the past, so that obviously there's an interaction with Ben, but the lyrics of Fate's Wide Wheel, which is a song that Sam sang as Tonic in the early '80s when he leaped into a rock star. So Ian obviously had to have some
That's
kind of
right.
clearance, or better yet, Ziggy played the music, and that's how Ian got it in his mind, or their mind,
Yeah.
and that tells us that some kind of a quantum imprint, some kind of a quantum exhaust, if you will, some kind of leap exhaust from the leaper is left in that person, because how else would Dottie have the virtual lyrics to Fate's Wide Wheel in their head when they did poetry night?
Yeah.
Months and
Well,
months
like,
and months after
it
Ben
must have
leaps.
been there must have been a big exchange, because
Yeah.
Francis brings up a good point here. Dottie said that she lost a week of time. So
Yep.
Ian was in Dottie for a week. So
Yeah.
Ian and Ben could have been meeting up, and heck, they all could
Several
have met up
times.
with
Yeah.
Janice that whole
It could have been
week.
all
You
three.
know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
But
And
but also, um, one thing I see, well, something that I'm curious as to whether Ian actually reveals themselves to Ben, actually say who they are, because going back to the original show, remember, there was a rule: you can't tell anyone that you're Sam Beckett, or even with Aaliyah, you can't tell anyone who you really are, because that can cause obviously waves in the time stream that can actually work against you leaping out, you know because they had to do that was the early thing in the first few seasons of Quantum Leap, that you really couldn't tell people who you were. But there was a few times when Sam threw that out the fracking window. um
well, here's the thing, that if Ian as Dottie told Ben,
I'm a friend.
I'm actually
Yeah.
Ian, then that would explain why Ben can't go to the project
Yeah.
and be open with everybody and has to go to
Yeah, I
Janice.
mean,
Because
obviously.
if he goes back to the project and tells Magic and Addison, Ian leapt into Dottie and I just found all this
Yeah.
stuff out. Well, now Ian knows that the past Ian knows
Yes.
that in the future he's going to leap, and that screws up, You know what I mean? That could
Yeah,
cause the
but
paradox thing where
but
Ian
here,
never
but here's
left
the thing.
because, you know.
But here's the thing. Now, well, see, you got to preserve the
Yeah,
timeline because now, if Ian doesn't leap at some point in the future, then Ben never starts to leap in the first place.
yeah.
So
See,
if,
I'm thinking
but
that
see,
Ben
if
must eventually save Addison, so she doesn't really
yeah,
die.
yeah,
But Ian had to jump back in time into Dottie to tell Ben to leap, or else she would die. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you're
I
saying,
mean,
he has to keep the cycle
I
going.
mean,
Yeah,
it's grandfather paradox. I mean, how can you go, how can you go back to give Ben that information, but if he doesn't leap in the first place, then you know never go back? Because what if? And we've kind of touched on this before. What if Ben fails to save Addison the first time, and that's when Ian jumps into the accelerator unauthorized, maybe, or maybe someone does authorize it. You know, so Ian goes back in time, does the gives Ben the information, hoping that this will improve Ben's chances of saving Addison, creating another altered timeline. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs out there.
yeah.
But now, I mean, not to borrow a parlance from wrestling, but business just business just kicked up a notch here. I mean, the fact that we now know that Ian is going to be a leaper. I mean, we had Mystery Leaper X already. Now we know at least Ian is going to leap, and who knows, maybe they have perfected a retrieval program, or they use a different program for Ian's leap so that they can control and bring him back. See, that's the thing. That's one thing we need to find out. At least the science nerds. Let's be honest. One thing we need to find out is the program that you use when you go into the accelerator. Does that dictate the rules for your leaping only, or does that affect everyone who leaps in the accelerator? That's the thing. If you use, let's say we put Ian in there, but we substitute his leap for when they fire the accelerator with a different program, will that alter the rules for Ian's leaping? That's another question there.
So you
You
mean
know,
like, could you in the future update the software that's controlling Ben's leap with a software that would allow him to leap home?
causing
Is
a
that what you're
detour,
saying? Yeah,
What about that?
yeah,
I mean, if he's following a roadmap, okay, if he is using Google Maps, well, what if we gave him Waze? It's what if you use TomTom? What if you use a different type of navigation? Could that
yeah.
alter everything? Because that's another question: is with the program that they're using right now, with Ben making changes, could those changes actually adverse his path as he's leaping? So could the program he's already using have that in mind, kind of course correcting everything? I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of variables that we don't know where the writers are taking this. John, did you think Ian was the mystery leaper?
No, no. I when
I don't think any
because
of us had Ian.
because what it was is in the past when we've discussed this, we thought that there would be two groups of leapers. We thought
Yeah,
the person who leapt from the future to tell Ben,
yeah,
we were assuming all along it was a separate project, a
yeah.
different project.
Well, at
But
one point we
now it
thought it was
looks like
Leaper
it.
X, maybe.
Yeah, and
Remember?
now we see that it could be the same project. It's just in the future and a different person leaps, which is Ian. But you're right, that also doesn't explain who the mystery leaper was from before, the guy we're calling Leaper
Yeah,
X, because
yeah.
that we don't think that was Ian. You know what I mean?
I mean, here
Because
now
why would he say, "Why are you following me?"
here's another twist.
You
I'm
know?
going to throw this out there. You and I talked about what if that senator, that congresswoman, or whatever comes back and takes over our project.
Yeah,
What if? And I'm saying, what if they use the OG project, and what if Ian actually leaps from there? Because that original Z now, because they talk about Ziggy as like a different version of Ziggy, like an updated Ziggy. What if the original Ziggy is there, and that's where Fate's Wide Wheel is playing, and that's where Ian gets the song stuck in their head?
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's I know it's a bit thin, kind of like my hair. It's getting thin. Um, it's thin. It's a stretch, but you know what? None of us saw Ian leaping. If anything, I mean, I know there's been talks that a lot of fans wish Ian was the observer, because with Ian's fashion sense, it kind of harks back to Al a little bit,
Hmm.
and we know Ian can be snarky.
Well, and the weird thing too is with now because they were both watching the game, we know that Ian is compatible with going in the
Yeah.
machine. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I was hoping that maybe Ben would see Ian and kind of like do a head nod or something. But we
Oh,
didn't
he
see
didn't
that.
actually really acknowledge both of them were there.
No, no,
I thought he did notice both of them in the
because
I see
Ben was more focused on the
on the
basketball
game.
on the
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
game, and he kind of cheered, and then like he leaps. But I mean, and also if you remember in the original Quantum Leap, the only way that Verbena Beaks, Dr. Beaks, could see everything that Al was seeing was if he held on to her. Obviously, the chamber works a little different than it did before. You know, I mean, you would think like a hand link or something would be needed, but no. Ian was able to watch the basketball game along with Addison, and that I thought that was a cool touch. And I mean, this also opens the door. Like, hey, we could have anybody in the project walk into the imaging chamber. I mean, hell, you could have Magic standing in the background watching Addison. You could have anybody in project walk into there. I mean, really, if you think about that,
yeah. Okay.
because it used to be that you had to have the hand link, right? Because that's how like Al would talk to Sam. Because and like even Sam couldn't see Verbena, he couldn't see Dr. Beeks unless Al grabbed onto her hand, and then he could see her, couldn't hear her because they're running so much juice that took everything they could just to project her image. So I mean, there's a lot going on here. They're the group is still talking about the Hasbro and some toys, bringing some clones. Where the hell is the waiting room though? And that's the thing, Ramblin' Nerd. They we have no idea.
Yeah.
For all we know, there is no waiting room, which is actually irking a lot of people, to be honest. Um, we don't know what happens where Ben's body is being held. For
It
all we
is a little
know,
strange how there's
we
no.
we have heard them
Yeah.
make references about, well, you're getting plenty of sleep now, or the person you leaped into is getting plenty of sleep. So odds are they are keeping Ben's body sedated
Yeah.
so that whoever Ben leaps into, they're knocked out the entire time, which takes out the interrogation aspect.
Yeah.
Because in the original series, they could Al would go in the imaging chamber or the waiting room and talk to the person Sam leaped into, and would get information from them. But they would also see this big bright room, you know, and these people with weird clothing and talking differently, and little light up gizmos, thinking that they're aliens, which kind of propagated a lot of alien abduction stories. So I mean, keeping that, because now you don't hear anyone saying the word, that you don't hear names. You don't, because if there's, because obviously Magic knows that he can remember, he knows that he's lost some time and he has some faint images in his mind thanks to the leap. So who knows what other residual thoughts are left in the person that trades places with Ben. So this way, if Ben is knocked out, that person's sleeping the entire time. But see, there's one thing I'm worried about. They if they have Ben's body sedated, okay, I get that. That makes sense in a way, but they're also going to have to exercise that body. They must have some physical therapists on hand. So while the body is comatose, like they're working the arms, the legs, because he's going to have tons of atrophy. His muscles are going to degrade. His body is going to have. I mean, you got to have circulation. You got to have movement. Even coma
Yeah,
patients,
they've
they will put him in a wheelchair.
they've got to treat
They'll,
him like a coma
yeah,
patient. Yeah, they've got to
yeah,
have a whole.
they have to give him some kind of physical therapy, like moving his arm around maybe for like an hour or so. Same thing with the legs, because otherwise, when Ben comes back, he's going to be in very poor physical condition. That he will it'll be a challenge for him just to stand up. That's one thing that wraps around my head. Okay, the coma theory works; it makes sense there, but what about the rest? Oh, guys, stand up at attention. We got the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Papa Gord.
Papa Gord, the Canadian Santa Claus. Yeah, we're talking a little bit of Quantum Leap, the latest episode. And, well, me and John are talking Quantum Leap, and everyone else is talking toys.
Yeah, they're talking
Papa,
Waxer and Boyle. That's what they're.
And Papa, your ears must be burning because they were talking about you earlier. Everyone loves Papa. So, guys, please do me a favor. Check out the Canadian. If you're new to the channel, check out Papa Gord, the Canadian Santa Claus. One of the best YouTubers around. I'm not just saying that because you're here, Papa. I mean, you're one of the best. You're one of the most realist people out there. I mean, he's got an amazing collection. He's one of the most down to earth people that is out there. So, guys, anyone who's not following Papa Gord, please go ahead and check out his channel. Papa Gord, the Canadian Santa Claus. And of course, we have one of his master moderators here, Linda. Just posed record with a rotary cannon, and I'm trying to get nice. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on with Quantum Leap now. I mean, if we're getting Ian as a potential leaper, and we don't know, it could be a one-off leap for all we know. They could bring him. They could bring Ian back, but who knows? Maybe Ian is going to be trying to leap and maybe trying to help Ben the entire time. We don't know. There's a lot of craziness going on. Dennis says, Dave, what are you thinking? Ben actually leaps? It's a physical aura that everyone sees. Well, see, there's a lot of arguments about that. Personally, that's my whole thing, is that it's an aura. Because in the original Quantum Leap, it wasn't Sam's body that Sam leaped into. Well, it was more of an image. He would leap into, that image of that person. Because perfect examples, and I know I've brought this up before, talking with John about this. There was a Vietnam vet who lost her legs, and in that episode, Sam stands up, even though everyone who looks, the person who sees Sam sees a person with no legs. There's like an MP or someone who sees this, and they're freaking the hell out because there's no legs. How can a person stand with no legs? Or there's the I'm trying to think of the episode. Sam leaps into a blind piano player, like a concert pianist. No jokes.
Yeah.
And Sam can see. Sam can see perfectly. I mean, there's all those different physicalities that defies Sam. But yes, there's the aura, because obviously the clothes somehow fit Sam perfectly. That's always been one thing I always kind of laughed at. But I think it's an aura. It's a mirror, because remember in the original show, facing mirror images that were not his own. They never said that he's leaping into he's leaping from life to life. They don't talk about him leaping into a body, right? Or what about the part when Sam leaped into leaps into Dr. Ruth, and Dr. Ruth is jumping on top of cars and buses in New York City? I mean, Dr. Ruth Westheimer could not pull that off, but Sam Beckett could at his age, yes.
Yeah.
Even when, or what about when Al Simon leaped with Sam, and Al leaped into, Tom, was it Tom Stratton? I think the character's name was Tom Stratton, who was a vet, who was a POW in World War II, who should be malnourished, but Al could do a little roundhouse kick and a few other moves. It's the aura that everyone else is seeing. Because also, if you think about the evil leaper, Leah, when Leah and Sam touched, their auras kind of shimmered, and then they could see who they really were.
Yeah.
So to me, my hands down, I will always believe that it's the aura. Until we're told otherwise, I'm always going to see it as the aura that they're leaped into. Hope that answers your question. I was just talking about the pianist show. Why was there sheet music on the piano? props. You know, I don't know. For all we know, the sheet music could also have braille, so that he could tell which concerto, which song that he was going to play next. You know, there could have been braille. You know, we all know braille doesn't have you know, it's not colored dots. Why would they color it? It's just, you know, just those faint images, those faint bumps right there. So, I mean, who knows? Let's catch up here. I got to hit him for phone shattered. Oh, you know, guys still talking figs. Hey, there you go.
3D printer ones, yeah.
Chris Perillo does 3D printing figures. They look so good. I just have to fiddle around. I have to find a way to get my 3D printer to, because whenever I 3D print something, it comes out very brittle and falls apart. It looks like crap. I got to find a way to, you know, just tune it in so I can print stuff. There's so much stuff I want to print. Not even funny. And here we are. We got EC Collecting. What's up, Colin?
So,
Colin's jumping through saying, hey to everyone. Let's catch up here. Everyone's saying hello to EC. There's EC's channel. Don't forget to check out EC. Awesome. Everyone's saying hello. Hey, I want to start a storyline for Let Donna Go. Was that the name of an episode or something?
like, wasn't Donna the girl that Sam
Donna
liked
was Sam's wife.
Yeah.
Played by Terry Hatcher. I'm still not mad at that episode. Everyone's saying, Duffman saying, hey to Colin. I have clones holding my other two. Nice. But, I mean, where, John, I want to ask you, where do you think the show is going now? What's next?
Well,
Do
that's
you
interesting.
think Magic is going to scold Ian? Like, you know, are are you
the thing is that I don't know. Like, it's weird to me that him and Janice or him and what's her name were both sitting in the lobby, like watching in the audience. But when Magic went in to talk to her, he left her outside. It was just Magic and Dottie at the table. And
okay,
Magic
guys.
said, when Magic said, you know, you're not crazy, like this really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And by the way, guys, we got Wolfpack in the chat. And by the way, if you guys aren't following Wolfpack Tour Review, what are you doing with your lives? And by the way, go to that QR code right at the top of the screen right there and scan that. That will take you directly to Wolfpack's channel. I want you to subscribe and please follow him. The guy makes amazing videos, amazing content. Wolfpack, I hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good night. Hope everything's going good with the fam.
But I think that you know, now it's like hard because you're like, is Magic going to share this information with anyone at the project? And I think part of the reason is because the same reason Ben had to go to Janice instead of going to the people in the project is because if you start telling everybody at the project that Ian leapt, in the future Ian's going to leap, if it's all about saving Addison's life, then you can't really risk I mean, can you risk telling the group and then having repercussions that in the future make it so Ian doesn't end up leaping?
I
You
mean,
know what I mean? Like you can't
if
risk
if
that, right?
anything, I think Jen is the danger factor here. I think Jen is the danger factor because once she finds out that Ian will leap, she's gonna be so suspicious of him, like they're like are so suspicious of they that it's gonna cause a very terrible dynamic, and I think that will be the seeds of mistrust. That could be definitely the beginning of the seeds of mistrust right there. But yeah, I mean it's honestly I don't know what to expect now that we know Ian leaps at some point in time. But all that we
Well,
know
see,
is Ian leaps. Go
I'm not
ahead.
even sure if there's any mistrust anymore. Like we thought about that before, but now I'm like, I don't think it's like
Well,
anyone is going to be untrustworthy or betray the group or do any of
well,
that
no.
because
Jen being the head of security, it's her job to kind of be suspicious of everyone. Let's be honest. And with lately, like there's the whole thing about Magic says, "Well, whatever happens, it's on me." She's like, "No, it's on all of us." That I could feel a little because to me, I still think back to her wanting that specific hard drive at Janice's place. Everyone having the private talks with that congresswoman at one point. I mean, the fact that we know that Jen's father has some gambling issues. I mean, I just, I want to be wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I just get this feeling like something is going to happen, and I think it's going to be Janice. I really do. I mean, that's just my personal opinion right there. You know, I think Jen is, or sorry, Jen is going to be the person that's, you know, even if she wants everything to be on the up and up, but sometimes when you're trying to make sure that something happens, sometimes you become the cause of it.
yeah,
You know, I mean, she might not, want to cause things to happen, but by her actions, it's like if you're trying to protect someone, you're trying to save someone, and what if you become the cause of that person getting hurt to begin with?
yep,
I mean, I'm not saying that she's a bad guy, but it could be her actions, because she finds out that at some point in time Ian's gonna leap. We don't know what happens to Ian afterwards. We don't know the repercussions of Ian leaping. For all we know, there could be a lot of different factors that went in preparation. We don't know what preparation Ben went through when he leaps. You know, I mean, it's going to
yeah.
be interesting to see what happens. I mean, pretty much at this point, I can say this. I think anything goes. And remember, we talked about what if other people leaped into the accelerator before. Now we know it's going to happen. We just don't know when
Yeah, though
or under what conditions.
that's another weird thing because like so Dottie said that she lost a week, which means Ian was in Dottie's body for a week.
Yeah,
But yet Ben made it sound like he got a message and immediately went to the place and jumped.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like but really he knew about this for a week before he jumped.
yeah,
So it wasn't as sudden as Ben made it out to be.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
Continuity error. Francis says, I don't understand why Al's daughter doesn't just say why Ben leaped. Is that just for the story? You know what? It could be for the story, or um, if you're a big time travel fan, I mean, too much foreknowledge can be very dangerous. If Janice comes out and says, "Oh, this happened," and with if she tells Magic that, and Magic says it to someone else, it could be some small crucial piece of information that gets slipped that causes a whole chain reaction that can undo everything that Ben's been trying to do. You know, um, that it could be that it could be that Janice is keeping all her cards to her chest because if she gives up all the information, well, they can just toss her to prison or wherever. You know, I
yeah,
mean,
well,
giving
I
a
think
little bursts, little spurts of information, little breadcrumbs at first is going to keep her around because I mean, really, let's face it, when last week's episode, she was in her element. It looked like she belonged there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but
So
I think that, see, Janice is not saying anything to the group for the same reason that Ben didn't go to the group and went to
yeah,
Janice in the first place, is because if say like 5 years into the future, Ian goes back in time into Dottie's body and he tells Ben, this is a bunch of shit that's going to go down, and it results in Addison dying. You gotta follow this coordinate to go back in time and leap to that moment to
yeah.
save her life. So Ben can't go to the group and say, I need to reprogram Ziggy and the thing in order to make this thing happen, because Ian works there and Ian's the programmer. So Ian can't know in the past that someday in the future he's going to jump. Do you know what I mean? So he couldn't go. So Ben couldn't go to the group, or else Ian would have foreknowledge of his jump, and he might not jump, and it could screw the whole thing up. So that's why. So he goes to Janice and tells Janice all this, because that's the only other person out there who's not with the group that knows anything about Quantum Leap. So now
What if?
Janice is in the same situation. She can't tell the group, because if it gets out that Ian jumped, then Janice just screwed up the whole cycle, because now Ian
What
knows
about
in the
this?
past that he's got to jump in the future, you know?
What about this? Think about this for a second. Remember, Ian couldn't figure out what was going on with Ziggy at first.
Yeah.
What if that's because Ian couldn't figure out because it was Ian's own encryptions that Janice was using? What if our future Ian was helping Janice out?
Well, that's kind of what I mean.
Helping
Like,
her make her
it,
imaging chamber and
because
hacking the
because he
project.
had because he had a week in Dottie's body, Ian could
Yeah.
have, Ian very well could
Yeah.
have not only just met Ben, but he could have met up with Janice,
Janice.
because they know
And
that they can't go to the project because Ian
and let's be
can't
honest,
find out, you know?
if you're a computer expert, okay, and you think that there's a security breach, you're going to be looking for other people's work, things that stand out, right? You're not going to be looking at your own programs, your own code, because you're like, oh, this is obviously my code. I don't need to go through this. My code is safe. What better way to hack into the project than actually the person who is, basically running the technical side of the project? Because, if you look at things, you're going to look for things that are out of place. When, if you have your house broken into, you get home, first thing you're looking around is you're looking to see what's been disturbed, right? To see what's missing. And if you come across a room that's not disturbed, well, they probably didn't even go in there. You're going to make that assumption. So I think that's a good idea right there. And maybe it's future Ian that helps Janice get access to the project.
Yeah.
But like you said, you and I talked off camera and mentioned, and I think on camera you mentioned that the pictures that we saw, the sketches of Ian, makes Ian have longer hair, like bangs, and almost bob like, kind of a bob like do, similar to Janice. Um, so I mean, this we're guessing that this obviously is going to be taken much further into the future. We just don't exactly know when.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking at least 4 or 5 years,
yeah,
but it could be longer, it could be shorter. I don't know. Yeah.
but also now I don't know how the project actually actively monitors leapers, because when they're scanning, are they just locking onto Ben? Are they only looking for Ben, or are they constantly scanning for other points in time where there could be temporal disruptions?
It seems like right now they're just scanning for Ben
Yeah.
somehow, but
So
yeah.
I mean, if I mean with the project, I mean personally, if I was Magic, I would have them scanning for other leaps, other
Yeah.
disruptions in time, because what if there's someone else who's not a part of the project, or
Well,
someone who's working against them?
especially knowing that they did meet that other guy, that other
Yeah.
leaper that we've never seen again.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. So I mean, even if they were actively scanning, obviously they wouldn't have been scanning back then. But I mean, to see other pathways, other like temporal trails throughout the space time continuum, um, could it? I still wonder if Ian doesn't leap through that project, but he leaps through a different project, whether it's the original one or maybe a makeshift project somewhere else. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot we don't know, and it's just getting crazier. It's getting crazier now.
I would think the only I would think that Ian would use the project he's currently working on.
Well, what if there
Oh,
wasn't a
pardon me.
choice though?
Unless that gets shut down or something,
Yeah.
changes in the future where he has to go somewhere else in order to leap. Yeah.
I'm looking at these pictures again. What if this is a much, 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 much older Ian?
Yeah, that we don't know how far in the future that Ian is.
Because I'm looking at some of the pictures, and some of the lines with the sketching. You guys probably can't see this.
Could make him look older, yeah.
Um, see if I can pull this up. It might not show. Okay, yeah, it's frozen. So here, oh, you buffered, you son of a buffer. Can I go back? See if I can go back to. There we go. Like here's the first image. This almost looks like this could be like maybe a 40s or close to 50 Ian. Like think of like a grandmother kind of hairdo, heavy on the makeup, right?
Yeah, just
Let me see
hit
if I can.
play. Like, I don't know if you can skip over to the next one. Oh, you just dragged the thing all the way back.
I think it's. Let me go back. Come on, play.
Keep drawing them.
But did you ever stop to think about who was behind the wheel? Who was driving you like a bus the whole time?
Hold on.
Are you kidding? I can't get them out of my head.
There's a sketchbook.
I just keep drawing them.
Here's the first one. Now, take a look at some of these right here. They look like, at the angle of some of these, let me see if I can go full screen there. Some of them look like these could be more age lines, like a much older Ian. At least that's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
Well, especially that one in the top left. Like, look at
Yeah.
There's something different.
Like the cheekbones, like how some people get a little bit older. They get
Like, seem tighter. Yeah.
yeah. See,
But I don't know.
this
It
makes
could
me
just
think it's a
be.
much older and almost like a grainy style kind of hair, I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So
I do think
yeah,
it's interesting that the glasses are there. You're right. That is a weird.
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, if Ian is leaping, his glasses aren't leaping with them. Yeah, that's just unless it's like a Sam deal, like or some kind of subconscious imprint or something. But yeah, I mean, there we are. So episode 12 was definitely a crazy one. It tugged on a heartstrings a little bit for like families, because I mean, I think the story, like with the trans daughter, imagine trying, because they show the daughter going to therapy, and being counseled by people, and having all the being bullied and everything. I mean, um, eh, it's not something that's easy to watch. Let's be honest. But I think a story like that kind of gets lost by the fans a little bit when we get information like this. I think sometimes having two storylines, the storyline of the mission in the present, and then having Ben doing his story of the week, his leap of the week, as it were. I think some of that can get a little overshadowed because I think the story, the leap of trying to help your trans daughter, your trans child, have the best high school time possible, but still having to deal with bigotry. It's not like this was like 20 years ago. I mean, this was 11 years ago. And it's sad enough that stuff still happens all the time. So, Dennis says the picture looks like Janice with glasses, but the others show shorter hair. See, that's what I was thinking at first. I was thinking it was Janice, but I'm like, wait a minute, there's glasses. Janice doesn't wear glasses. So I'm like, that's got to be Ian. And again, even if it was Janice, even if Janice does wear glasses at some point in the future, that wouldn't be translate over. So, in a leap, unless it's a mental image, that's the only thing that would make sense. So, and he said, the first big picture. So yeah, guys. So there we are. Another week in. We won't have Leapcast next week because the show is reruns or whatever else is airing. Show comes back on the 20th. And John, any thoughts about this episode? Any final thoughts or takeaways?
No, I mean I liked it. That's all I think I'll close out with that. I continually like this show, and I think it's getting more intriguing as it goes along with the future stuff. And I enjoy the leap part. I think that like I said, that tugs on my nostalgia strings, and then the modern stuff that's going on just keeps adding to the mystery of what happened and why Ben left and what's going on. And I like the balance between the two and the way this show is moving forward. And yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest. As a fan of the original series and someone who's read the books, I gotta say my interest is very, very much. It shifts more to the present, to what's going on at the project, or trying to solve those mysteries.
yeah,
It's good seeing Ben trying to do right, but it still feels like at times the writers have a little trouble getting Ben. Actually writing Ben. It seems like, okay, we want him to do this, to do that. It's more like exposition. So, but I mean, I'm loving the show. I can't wait to see what happens. And guys, of course, if you guys forget, they got renewed for season 2. So we are getting a season 2 of Quantum Leap. This is a full season. So, I mean, we're only on episode 12. So we have another 8 episodes at least?
Should there be at least 20, 22, something like that?
Yeah. Well, if this is episode 12, that'll give us another 8 more episodes. And who knows, maybe they'll finish up right around Easter or after Easter. We'll see what happens. Because we have February 20th. And I want to say we then pick up, I don't know if it's the week after we also have a new episode. And then, of course, March. So we'll see what happens with that. But
there might be a break for March Madness, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, March Madness.
Yeah.
But John, what do you have going on this week?
Well, I did film a couple videos that are up for people who are members, and if you're either a member of the YouTube channel or a Patreon supporter, you can watch them now. But otherwise, they'll go up either Wednesday or Thursday. One's on the vintage Rattler I picked up, and the other one is on a Gundam that I picked up, the Master Gundam.
Oh, which one did you pick up?
The Master Gundam.
Well, MG is a classic Gundam, or is it?
Okay, that's all it says on the box. Master
okay.
Gundam.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like GF 001 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but that.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. black and red. It's black and red with some purple on it, with a big
Black and yellow,
spiked
black and
helmet.
yellow.
It's got two big spikes
Okay.
on the helmet and red wings. They're pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And guys, right there at the top, you have this QR code for Super Awesome Geek Shows. Please check out his channel. Do you have Jeopardy again this week, or?
Yeah. The 6th game of Jeopardy will be on Sunday, and we have Adventures Joe is going to join.
Yep.
And there was one other person that was going to let me know, and then I'll have to search for the third. So,
hey guys, you hear that? If you want to participate in some Jeopardy, you can go ahead and hit up Super Awesome
yeah,
Geek
there's
Show.
still one spot if someone
Toy
wants to
Jeopardy.
get into some toys, comics, games, the stuff we grew up with, TV shows.
And
You're
guys,
welcome to get in on this.
it's a
round
fun
of
time
Jeopardy.
because I played this past week and it was a fun time had by all. So please check it out. And that's at what, 1:00 p.m. Eastern time?
1 Eastern time. Yeah.
1 p.m. Eastern on Super Awesome Geek Show's channel with his lovely co-host, the lovely Geek Strong.
Yeah, Dino the Machino.
So guys, please check him out. Again, right at the top of the screen, we got the QR code. Break out your phones, take a picture of it, scan it, and go ahead and check out his amazing channel. Because why? Because it's super awesome. If you're looking for anything vintage, is your vintage show back on Saturday morning this week or no?
Sunday morning. Yeah, we
Sunday
probably
morning.
will. Yeah.
Okay.
I might actually wrap it into the Rattler thing and just do we might look at all 4 of the jets. We might pull out all the jets.
Oh, all the G.I.
So
Joe
the-
jets?
Yeah,
Nice.
so the Rattler, the Night Raven for Cobra, and then we'll do the Sky Striker and the Conquest X30 for the G.I. Joes.
Yeah, my buddy is losing his mind because he got his Sky Striker and he's putting it together and he's just loving it, all the decals and everything.
Yeah, cool
So
vehicle.
it looks pretty awesome. And speaking of HasLabs, well, Dave's Dimension this Friday night at 8 p.m. we are doing a special live stream with Sam Hain 82, Nick Vitale of the Daytona Beach Ghostbusters, and good friend of mine, obviously, and also a fellow YouTuber by the name of Geek Ghost Beacon. He does amazing pop culture content and a heavy focus on Ghostbusters. I actually met him last year at the Firehouse. He's an awesome YouTuber. And please go ahead and check him out. I have his QR code right here. And it's going to be a fun stream. We don't know how long of a stream it's going to be. It might be an hour, might be 2 hours. We're going to cover everything involving the Ghostbusters HasLab and the future of the HasLab. We're also going to compare my Spangler pack to my full-scale pack that I built a few years ago. So it's an exciting time for Ghostbusters. They're filming the movie right now. The new movie's being filmed. Actually, it's going to start filming very soon. Ghostbusters Firehouse is the filming name of it, and they're aiming to have that come out in December. So we'll see what happens with that, guys. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun stream. Obviously, I'm already suited up, But this was the Leap-Cast, so I had to wear the McFly badge. But guys, I have my live stream this Friday. We have some more videos I'm going to be recording this weekend. I'm not going to be doing any other live streams Thursday night. There's the Overgrown Third Graders podcast. You want to check them out on T3's channel, along with EC and a whole bunch of others. I myself, I don't have any other streams going on because Saturday I have tons of stuff that I need to record. And also Super Bowl Sunday, so I won't be around on anyone's channel Sunday. So I do apologize for that, guys. But guys, until next time, let's give a final rundown to everyone who's in the chat. We got Vagon,
Mr. B.
Mr. B,
Linda.
the man, the myth, the customizer himself. We got Linda, Vagon, Mr. B again. We got Ricardo, Eastern or Western? Eastern. We got the Eastern ones. But guys, I want to thank everyone who came out. I want to thank Super Awesome Geek Show, of course. John.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the Jeopardy Grandmaster. And by the way, guys, another thing. Now you guys have heard me talk about the ride for Roswell. I'm doing it again this year. I'm actually doing a 44-mile ride this year. I might be changing bikes. Because I had such issues last year that I actually wound up using my old bike from one of my good family friend lent me my old bike so I could use it. So I might be going to that style bike. So we might be doing some bike videos very soon, guys, as soon as the weather permits. Another thing is the Ride for Roswell benefits Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Institute. They've been around since, well, this institute itself started in the late 1800s. It's been around for over a century. The Ride for Roswell has been going on since the late 80s. Every dollar, every nickel, every dime raised goes to benefit cancer research. Not just cancer research, but development of vaccines and actual practices of treatments. I mean, everyone's been affected in some shape or form, guys. And please, you never know what kind of a difference you're going to make by dropping $5, by dropping $1 here or there. Every dollar, every nickel, every dime counts. We all are affected by people who've had cancer, or someone who's been affected by cancer. I myself, I've never had cancer, but it's hit my family hard. My father had cancer from us. We found out he had cancer the day he passed away. Going through his insurance and his medical documents, we found out that he actually was diagnosed with cancer. My mother had skin cancer for years, and she would go to Roswell Park for cancer treatments on her skin. So, I mean, there's fatal types, there's non-fatal types, but it alters your life, and you'll never be the same. But that's what this is about. It's about helping to make a difference, helping families. I mean, just maybe there's people who don't have families that are going through this, and we don't want them to be alone. We want them to live the longest and the best life possible. So that's what it's about, guys. So, guys, please do me a favor, and there's the QR code for Roswell Park. I have the link in the donations in the description below. But, guys, until next time, this is Dave from Dave's Dimension and Super Awesome Geek Show saying,
Hey.
Maybe next time will be the leap home. Catch you later, guys.